So, you guys ready to partake in the rites of Satan here with us?
The ritual.
I'm about ready to sell my soul for the riches.
The riches?
Yes, all the chocolate I could ever want.
Wow, you got to go meet the man at the crossroads then.
Yeah. I was promised that I could get Mia Farrow in the year 1968. This is what they promised me.
You settled for way too less. You could have got way better.
Fuck you. Hey everybody, what's going on? The Late Horror Show finally getting to Rosemary's Baby 1968.
We made you guys wait 4 years.
4 years.
Before we did that. Wait, no one's even asking us to do this movie.
No, it's my
They
favorite.
haven't even seen this movie.
It's my favorite movie of all time. Rosemary's Baby
All
1960.
time?
Of all time, yeah.
Our favorite horror movie of all time.
No,
favorite
movie of all time.
It's a bold statement.
It is a bold statement, one I'm sticking to. But directed by Roman Polanski. And, yeah, I know, Ted. Yeah, Shomo. Yeah.
He's a chum. Him and Bill Cosby should share a cell.
They should, yeah.
Ooh, is that too soon?
No. It's never too soon
Him and
on
Bill.
this channel.
But
do what you do in the back of I got the perfect thing for you to do. Okay, yeah, anyway. Enough bad Bill Cosby impression. So yeah, my favorite film of all time. I love it, and we'll get into all the reasons why I love it so much. I did touch on it on our top 10 list.
Yeah.
Top 10 horror films of all time.
Yeah.
3 years ago? We did it a long time ago. But
we've probably done a couple of them.
And Ted, re-watched this, and it's been a long time.
15 years.
And he was thanking me,
I mean, I liked it then, but it's like my tastes have changed as I've gotten older, and I really like it more now. So,
yeah,
it's
great. Right? Yeah,
right up my alley. The kind of slow burn stuff I like. Good acting, good build up to something, yeah. And I mean, based on a very best-selling book. It follows the book very closely because I guess Roman Polanski, this was his first film that he did based off someone else's book.
Yeah.
And from what I was reading up a little bit. He didn't realize that you could kind of do what you want with it.
Yeah, you can reinterpret things,
right,
and
he
make
didn't know
it your
you could
own
do that.
and mess around with it. Yeah.
He and the author were in close contact. He would even ask her, what color clothes, what kind of dress do you think she was wearing in this scene? What did you envision? So he really tried to keep it as close to what the author intended. Mm-hmm. So honestly, you don't even have to read the book. It's one of those cases where you don't have to read the book. You can just watch the movie.
Watch the movie, and
you're not missing much if you read the book.
Exactly what the author had in mind, picture-wise and everything. Even though you read a book, you always get your own image and feel and all of that stuff. So
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the written word. I love I read all the time, but and I have this book and its sequel, which I haven't read. Yeah. But you don't. I mean, if you've read it, fine. If not, you don't have to if you've seen the movie. But you're not gaining anything.
This movie's got, in order...
There's only one part, which I'll get to, that I think was purposely left out of the movie. Only one little part.
Okay. I mean, star of the movie is Rosemary, played by Mia Farrow. Rosemary Woodhouse. Her character in this movie is just so pitiful.
Yeah. She doesn't have very much strength at all.
No strength. I felt a lot of pity for her and felt sorry for what she was going through. And again, we'll talk about how the story develops.
Complete anti-feminist movement kind of character.
Yes.
Because that's what was going on at this time.
Right.
And
1968.
Maybe it caught a little flack for that. And actually, that goes a little hand in with what I just mentioned about a part that's in the book that is not in the movie. Mm-hmm. And this is when... there's going to be spoilers all over the place. We're going to go back and forth.
Yeah, we're popping
talking
all
about
over
the
the
movie.
Place. Yeah.
We're not going to tell you the story. Watch the goddamn movie. But when she is the after the ritual, where she's drugged and maybe that's where Roman got the idea. Roofie and the moose. And,
we'll talk about that whole scene in its entirety soon.
But after that happens, she actually, in the book, she leaves Guy for a little while. She actually has a little bit of strength and leaves, ends up coming back, though, and then it's all back to the same as it was. But that one little bit in the book, she had that out. She had that little bit of independence, that little bit of strength left in her, and and it was gone. But in the movie, she's pretty much just depicted as the victim the entire time.
I think that's it. Right.
Which is probably fits more in with the
I was
theme
going to say,
of the film.
I could see why he kept that out, giving her even a little bit of strength. Which, you know what, the big party scene where she invites all of her friends over is kind of a, I'm taking a stand.
Yeah, a little bit.
For a minute or so.
And it's not as drastic as her leaving him, because the way that the film is going, if she had done that, he'd have gone shit show.
Yeah, right.
You see how he is just... his character, John Cassavetes, an actor and director in his own right,
died at too early, 1950 or 59 years of age. He died.
Yeah.
And
well, when you're sucking down about 85 cigarettes a day.
Yeah. And in this movie, he drops down that box of Pall
Malls.
Oh yeah, and I'm going.
I'm set for the day.
But John Cassavetes, who plays Rosemary's husband, Guy Woodhouse, is he played in he was like a big actor in the 50s where TV just started rolling out, and there were all kinds of shows, mostly like theme variety shows, things like that. He was in a shit ton of those
look at
things.
his stuff, he's got tons of credits.
Yeah, and
directing credits, a lot of directing
right,
too.
A lot of independent stuff that he actually put his own money into, and so passion projects for him.
He's got a Criterion Collection box set.
Yeah.
But he plays a struggling actor.
Yep.
Plays commercials. Just isn't. He's a good actor. Just isn't getting that big break.
Right.
And that's
plays a big role in this movie.
Plays the biggest role. Actually, that's what gets the ball rolling, I guess.
Starting right off, I mean, I cannot leave this out. When that movie starts, when you press play, that haunting lullaby at the beginning and end of this movie, Ted.
I know. That's Mia Farrow singing it, too.
I know, yes. Yep. Mia Farrow sings it.
And if you listen to the band Fantomas, Mike Patton did a cover of it, too.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it's so haunting, but yet pleasing to the ears. I mean, you sit there, you just go, fuck, this is good.
Perfect opening.
Sorry, I'm gushing all over the place here for this movie, but
the shots of New York and
in that hotel,
the Dakota Hotel where John Lennon was shot. For God's sake, that's where it was filmed.
Right, yeah.
And it's even nice to see produced by William Castle on there. And William Castle, master of the schlock and the gimmicks, House on Haunted Hill, The Tingler. The movies that had the gimmicks, the electrified seats and things like that. He bought the rights to this in the hopes of directing it. Before the book maybe even it hit stands, it hadn't become a big seller at all. No one knew about it. He found out about it, and he thought this would be a good vehicle for me to go legit. Because he was looking to be a legitimate director. Not this, schlocky guy with the
coming
gimmicks.
Out of the 50s, he
50s,
really
60s,
wanted to
go legit. Yeah. And they just weren't having it because his name is just too associated with those types of films, William Castle films.
Yeah, studio having just too much trouble.
Yeah,
saying,
and they were really wanting to court Roman Polanski over here because he had done this was his first American-made film. Yeah. He had done films in Europe. And they were doing what they can to. They gave him two projects. One, he's an avid skier, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
And they gave him a project that was about skiing, and they gave him this project. Pick one, and he picked Rosemary. He's like, I like that one better.
Oh,
hell yeah. Roman was already becoming a celebrated director. They wanted to bring him over here, so they gave William Castle, executive producer credit, and he's got a pretty. Even though it's mostly his back, he does have a little bit of a cameo when she's in the phone booth trying to call Dr. Hill.
Oh yeah,
that's William Castle.
And she exits the phone booth and it's William Castle coming in, making his appearance.
Right, but he really wanted it, and he also felt like all the films that deal with this
thank
material.
God he didn't though, because I mean, I don't know. Even thinking if he went legit and took this serious, could he have made this movie? I
Even
don't
the
know.
other actors that were up for it. Patty Duke. I don't know if you know who Patty Duke is. She was in TV in the 60s.
Yeah.
If you saw the kind of like cult film Valley of the Dolls, which has Sharon Tate in it.
Right.
It's a pretty cool movie, but it's trashy.
Mm-hmm.
She's in that. She would actually go on to play Mia Farrow's character in the TV movie sequel. Look what happened to Mary.
Aunt
Rosemary. Look what happened to Rosemary.
Okay.
There was a TV movie sequel. Even what's her nuts? Ruth Gordon reprised her character in that movie.
Yeah.
It ain't no good though.
Yeah.
We could talk about it later, but it ain't no good. But she was up for the part. Several other actors were up for the part, but he liked the way Mia Farrow looked, that waif kind of look, which suits her for the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But there's some drama that went on with that because she was married to Frank Sinatra at the time, and he didn't want. Do you know this story?
Go ahead. Yeah.
He didn't want her to work anymore. Right. After that, didn't want her to give up acting.
He wanted to take care of her,
and she wanted to do this film, and she'd been doing the film for a little while. Yeah, fair. And she decided to stick with it, and he served her divorce papers on the set in front of everybody. Divorced her right there. And she was gonna leave. And they showed her some of the dailies, the rushes, a little rough cut that they put together.
Yeah.
And the producers were telling her, you're going to be nominated for an Academy Award for this. She wasn't, by the way. Huge snub. She wasn't. Probably should have been.
Damn
Honestly,
straight she should have been. Heck yeah, man.
And because it was nominated for all kinds of other awards.
Right.
But she was snubbed for that.
She was snubbed.
And maybe Frank had something to do with it.
Yeah, the mob, yeah.
But, exactly.
You're not going to do nothing,
yeah,
see?
I mean, she gave up her marriage to Frank Sinatra for that role, too. And
well, hey, if she loved him that much.
And she, hooked up with Woody Allen after that. And
well, we'll get to that, too.
And just nothing but bliss and happiness.
Well, yeah, I mean, her career after Rosemary's Baby was nothing to sneeze about until she met up with Woody Allen,
right.
And
she was his muse for several movies.
Midsummer Night's Sex Comedy is the first movie she appears in for Woody Allen, and then went on to be in many Woody Allen
Broadway
movies.
Danny Rose, the best one, best one, in my opinion.
Danny Aiello's in there amongst.
God, we should do Broadway Danny Rose for a show. You
How
guys ever
much
see
I
Broadway Danny Rose?
How much I love Woody Allen too, but anyway,
it's one of his best movies.
Broadway, it's funny, man.
I know he gets a lot of flack, but
I love the more serious, Manhattan and Annie Hall. Even Hannah and Her Sisters. I love that movie.
But when he's funny, when he's actually in it, and he's doing his shtick.
Sleeper,
biggest, he gets me.
That movie, he really got some shtick in that movie, but yeah, no, and I think John Cassavetes. There were many people who were going to play.
They wanted Robert Redford. Jack Nicholson was thought.
Jack Nicholson was another.
You know why he didn't pick Jack Nicholson? Just because he looked a little too sinister.
Yeah.
But he remembered him and would later use him in Chinatown.
Yes, Chinatown. Another great movie. If you haven't seen that, but
yeah, and Jack's got that look, obviously,
his
Jack always looks like he's up to something.
His look's got to fit the part, and it didn't fit this part.
John Cassavetes was a good pick for this.
Oh, definitely.
They would have liked an everyman like Robert Redford or something like that. But a lot of times when the subject matter is like this, you don't get those big name actors.
Right.
I mean, after the genre was proven to make money, I mean, The Exorcist didn't have huge name. I mean, Max von Sydow. I mean, you didn't have any big name actors really in that film. But then you got The Omen. A few years later, you get Gregory Peck. I mean, okay, these kinds of movies, these devil movies make money, so I'll do it. So you get a big actor. And here again, you get a lot of great character actors, but not any big stars.
Yeah, well, Ruth Gordon, she was in Scavenger Hunt. You remember that?
Way back in the day. This kind of rejuvenates. She's the old biddy, mini Castevet.
Yeah.
That kind of rejuvenated her career.
The two, Minnie Castevet.
She did a lot of comedies after this.
And Roman Castevet. They're the two.
With the leaders of the coven, the neighbors.
Leader of the coven. Yeah, the neighbors who took care of everything for who was the doctor?
Dr. Saperstein?
Yeah, Dr. Saperstein, who was technically, I think, I mean, he was the doctor that they used, but he was really the leader, right?
Well, he was involved in the. I mean, as the movie goes on, you realize that there truly is a plot against her, and even when she tries to convince, say, Charles Grodin plays Dr. Hill, who was her obstetrician briefly before Roman and Minnie say, "Oh no, you're gonna go to Dr. Saperstein. He's the best. He won't charge you much."
I guess he's well known in New York City as
And the whole
doctor,
ball of wax is basically, new couple moves in, young couple, fertile couple. You got this satanic coven that wants to bring the child of Satan into the world, the Antichrist into the world,
and they've been trying it, and I guess hasn't been working out.
Well, they had this other young girl,
that forget her name.
Rosemary's. Her name was Terry.
Terry, yeah.
Rosemary meets, and she's living with the Castavets, and she's got this really cool little charm with this stinky moss in there called Tannis root, which doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, which ends up being some kind of, I forget what they call it. It was
some
like
mold
some witch's fungus or something.
Yeah, witch's
like
fungus,
that.
something like that.
Yeah,
and
I'll wear that.
It sounds like she was going to be, the one that they chose to do this somehow. Yeah. She ends up taking a header out the window. We never exactly find out why, but probably because she realized what was going on.
Right.
Or, came to a realization what they wanted her to do.
Yeah, it's hard. That's the thing. It's hard to convince, if you're a satanic coven and stuff. Although they had rituals which really gave them power, which, in certain scenes you saw, wow, I mean, right off the bat, I mean, okay, so they move into this great apartment, everything else, and
you get invited to dinner over with the Castavets.
Right,
and that's where. It seems like they start,
lots of questions. Like,
the girls are over here, the guys over here, and this is where I think Roman starts tempting Guy a little bit.
Oh yeah.
They show like the cigar smoke flowing out, and damn well what they're talking about.
That's another great thing about this movie, like scenes like that, like where. The shot shows just nobody but the smoke, and you could tell they're off to the behind
side,
the walls, talking quietly, about, hey, we can get you all the money, the riches, the fame that you want. Because
he says it at the dinner table. He's like, it's a shame you're probably a great actor. You just need that good opportunity to... Yeah. Because he had just lost a part, remember? Yeah. Before they went to dinner, he had just lost out on a big part. Not a huge part, but an important part.
Right.
That would have probably been a big boon to his career.
Yeah.
And he lost out to another guy.
Yeah. And
that's why he didn't want to go to dinner at first.
Which,
but then he went.
Again, we're jumping all over the place, but when Mia Farrow talks to that guy, who eventually goes... Well, here, really quickly... that's going on between the two guys, and he convinces Guy.
Wouldn't you have liked to have heard that conversation?
Hell
how did you begin that?
But and how do you go?
Say, by the way.
And how do you go? You know what? Yeah, I'll give up.
How much do you love your wife?
I'll give up my child, if she has one, for the fame and the riches, and you guys can keep that child, and he became part of the coven or the witches, satanic whatever cult, and I mean, to give her up like that and let everything be done to her, that was the rape, all of that stuff. How could you do that? And in such a short period of time, you could tell after that meeting when they were sitting down that he lots of things where he's contemplating, but very quickly the next day he's done, and he was shooting back and forth to the neighbors.
He liked them, and you definitely see a change in how he treats her.
Yeah,
he's definitely more
distant,
standoffish, distant,
because he knows what's coming, and he's. It probably does affect him a bit, but but nevertheless, he does get a phone call the one morning, and it is the other actor
or his agent
or whatever, and they say he went he all of a sudden he woke up and he's blind.
Blind, can't do the part.
So the Castavets performed a ritual because I believe
find out later.
You find out later that they switched ties because that's a big part of it.
They have to have a personal item.
Personal item, yeah, and it affects the other person. Witchcraft, right?
Yes.
So the guy's blind, and she calls him later on the phone.
Yeah.
To say
much
hey,
later in the film. Yeah.
Much later in the film, and says, hey, have you talked to my has my husband Guy been over to see you and stuff like that? And a conversation ensues, and she finds out that it didn't happen and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, the guy on the phone. No, that was another guy on in the phone booth. I'm getting this messed up. Okay, we'll talk about the phone booth call. Okay. Because the phone booth call. Okay, forget that.
Well, speaking of the call she made to the blind guy.
Yeah.
Do you know who was on the other end of the phone?
Was that the phone call? That's what I'm talking about. It was Tony Curtis.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she didn't know.
So it was that I was
him.
Right.
Yeah. She didn't know it was him. He purposely put Tony Curtis, and he was a very famous actor, by the way.
Oh yeah, Tony Curtis. Yeah.
If you like Stanley Kubrick, he was in Spartacus.
Yeah, in Spartacus.
Oh, and oh my God, Some Like It Hot. One of the funniest movies you will ever see, I swear to God.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all over the place. I think it happened in the phone booth, but no, it was in the bedroom
she
when
called
she was
Charles
on the phone.
Grodin's character in the phone booth.
Right, there you go.
So yeah, she was, and he purposely didn't tell her who it was. He's got a very recognizable voice.
Yeah.
And so she's got that kind of look on her face, that little bit of confused look.
He did that
she
on
didn't
purpose.
know who it was.
To confuse her.
It sounds real familiar. Who is that? Yeah. And finds out later it's Tony Curtis.
Yep.
So that's kind of a neat little uncredited little role there. And
yeah.
His answers are like really good. He's like, "Oh, I'm doing great. I only broke 16 dishes today."
Can you imagine her on the phone, going, "Wait a second, what's going on here? I thought somebody else was going to feed me lines and talk to me."
Right.
And this is
actually
odd.
A conversation.
Yeah. Hey, Roman Polanski kind of effed with her quite a bit in this movie. I mean, even the pregnant scene where she was later on when she was pregnant and like kind of spaced out from everything going on, and she starts crossing the road, New York City, cars going back and forth, taxis. Mm-hmm. He tells her, he's filming. He goes, just start walking. Nobody's going to hit a pregnant lady.
And it's a real New York busy street. They didn't cordon off anything. It's for real, walking out into traffic.
So she's, and
he had a little handheld camera.
He's right behind her.
No one else would do it, so he did it.
So he, just a little, one of the little things.
But
that
imagine walking out into busy New York City traffic.
Yeah.
And she did it.
Another person who plays in this movie is Maurice Evans as Hutch,
a friend of theirs.
Yeah, a friend of theirs, and he plays Dr. Zaius in the Planet of the Apes.
That same year, 1968.
Yep. So I mean, I had to throw that out there because another great movie and character that I love, and he's in this movie. And, so
he
and poor Hutch. Later on, he comes over to visit Rosemary because he's checking up on her. And
let's preface.
Okay, go ahead.
They send her to this different doctor. They want to
have
the baby.
All over the place
so they want to have the baby.
Yeah.
Guy's he wasn't keen on having a baby before. Now he's keen on having a baby.
Yeah,
and this is because of his conversation with Roman.
Right. You have a baby, you get
they start fooling around a little bit, but this isn't what ultimately is going to happen. I mean, when you start seeing, he marks on the calendar the days that she's fertile. All right, if I was a girl, I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah, what's going on?
How do you even know that?
True.
Right? Because I've been with my wife 20 years. I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know fertile.
Exactly. You wouldn't know on the calendar what day it is, and you've been with her 30 years.
And how long do you? and how long after the old blood comes out, are you fertile? I mean, I don't know.
No idea.
Is it like a week after that?
I usually just trust the chick to tell me it's okay.
Okay. So, anyways, yeah.
It bit me in the ass 3 times.
Oh.
But then they're having this romantic dinner. They're gonna make love later because it's the night. They're having a nice dinner. Then knock on the door and it's Minnie. Very nosy, very nosy character. You know, oh, what are you doing? What's in there?
She plays
such a New Yorker.
Well, yeah. Let me say this too. I mean, all the characters in this movie are just fantastic. They all do, for their characters' roles, do a fantastic job, and especially Ruth Gordon. Her character is just fantastic. Yeah, that always running the mouth and telling people what to do, and and really on Rosemary like crazy, just on top of
white
things.
on rice.
Yeah, which gets to what you were saying. Knocks at the door and brings them both chocolate mousse.
Right, and when Rosemary's eating hers, she's like, there's just something not right about it.
At first she says, it's good, but then,
there's a chalky aftertaste.
Yeah, it's got an aftertaste to it.
And Guy is just like, well, if you don't want it, then don't eat it. Whatever. I mean, he's like purposely trying to make her upset, so she'll go, oh, no, don't. I'll just eat it.
He's going, well, she put a lot of effort into it. She really
He's always saying shit like that.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Come on, if you're going to accept something, you should wear it, or with the doctor. That one drove me
Poor
nuts.
Rosemary, man.
And, she does eat a few bites. And when she goes out...
enough to,
she scrapes the rest in a napkin. But, enough to where, shortly after that, she tries to get it from the table, and she's roofied.
She's
and then we get a couple of weird scenes. She floats in and out of reality. There's images of her floating in the water on her bed. Images of other people.
Yeah,
and then you get the images of the coven, all naked around her, chanting and whatnot. And all you see are these...
She's like on a ship, kind of.
There's a scene like that with a sailor.
Yeah, everybody's up on deck. That's where you see the comfort, the people that are trying to comfort her, which is, I think, in her brain. But then... because she didn't eat all the mousse and the drug, probably she was in and out, kind of.
Yeah, because that's one thing Guy says. She's like, her eyes are open. She's gonna remember this. And they're like, no, she's not gonna remember.
Yeah.
And then you just see these, eyes. You see these leathery hands.
Well, they're all naked.
Rosemary.
They're all naked around her too. Yep. And there's just a plain old mattress down on the ground.
Yep.
Like it.
They didn't even try to make it sexy, man.
Just
so somehow they summoned the devil.
Fire in the background.
The devil himself. To impregnate this woman. Now, and the book does go into a little bit of her thoughts as the copulation is going on. That Guy doesn't quite feel the same way that he normally does. He's bigger, and all that. So, there's that. You get those little details, I guess. And even in the middle of it, she's kind of like, they like take blood or making symbols on her abdomen. And even kind of like in the middle of it, she's like, this isn't a dream. This is happening.
Right, yeah. No, she's at first she's very like, because she thinks it's a dream. She's like, okay, it's all right, everything's good. She's letting them tie up her legs.
Oh yeah,
to the
scene that was cut out when it originally was in the UK.
Yeah, they cut that legs out. Down. Yeah, that scene was a little too much for them in the rating system, but. They tied her legs down. The blood on her, and then that's when she snaps and she says, this isn't a dream, this is real, and Satan starts to which you would
grinding.
You would figure, bump, 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 bump.
That's right.
So, there was
getting jiggy with it.
Yeah, great porn music playing in it. No. Yeah. Can you imagine?
The Devil and Miss Jones.
The devil, Mrs. Jones. Oh, anyway, but yeah, that all happens. The dream. Evidently, she conks back out, and the next morning she's in her bed.
One of the worst scenes.
Yeah, this is a pretty bad scene. She wakes up, sits up, and she's naked. All pleasing scenes to the eyes, but not.
If you say so.
The actual what the scene. Okay, I'll shut up.
I don't like my girls to look like dudes.
What the frick are you talking about?
She's just ain't nothing to look at, but I know you dig her, man.
Oh my God, Ted. Anyways, she's.
It's alright if you don't like a sign of a tit, but
she's got boobs.
Oh, really?
The hell's you
I think
talking
they're concave, man. They go in.
The nipples?
Maybe.
The breast itself is handfuls.
I like big, heavy, pendulous.
Yeah,
Oprah Winfrey kind of.
You like 50, Ted likes 50-pound flapjacks.
It's right. I like
water balloons.
Big floppy fun bags.
If that's what you like, man. But now that I don't like.
No?
No.
You don't like one smacking you this way, smacking you that way?
I ain't getting into it. It's yeah. We each like our own thing, and you can have your floppy fun bags. I'll have my perky, firm, artistic, beautiful,
guy chest,
perfect breast. If you have ever seen Nicole
I
Kidman's,
got bigger boobs than she had in that movie.
Anyways, she sits up. Anyways, she sits up in bed and she recognizes
she didn't even get the haircut yet.
That she has, oh god, she recognizes she has scratches down the side of her back.
What chick hasn't woken up with scratches down the side?
And what does Guy say?
Guy says he didn't. He's like, yeah, I know you passed out, but I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to miss baby night, so yeah. He's like, it was kind of fun in a necrophilia kind of way.
Yeah, in a necrophilia kind of way. And she's
could
like,
have waited till the morning.
Yeah, or the next night.
He tries to say, but I was flying high too.
Well, I like when she said before all of that. She's like, you couldn't. You did that while I was out.
I mean, like basically, he's copping to raping her. Well, I mean, it's horrible.
And I mean, it's just what can she? Again, a pitiful moment. Like, why? She's sitting there and you could tell she's thinking this, like, why would you do that to me while I'm totally out and we're trying to have a baby? And it just...
How romantic.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, it's just... But then we come to find out very quickly that she is pregnant.
Yes.
It worked very quickly, and he bet her a quarter.
Oh, yes, the quarter.
Yeah.
And she is seeing a Dr. Hill, played by Charles Grodin. She goes to him at first. But once the cast of vets
find out she's pregnant,
they want her to go to the doctor they know.
Yep.
And, always the best. He's the best. And, he doesn't give her, normal prenatal... Right, Dr. Saperstein. They don't give her normal prenatal hours. He's like, Minnie's got an herb garden. I'm going to have her make you a special drink every day.
And that drink is like some white chalky... Oh.
With some kind of herbs in it.
Yeah.
And basically, for maybe the entire pregnancy, like 8 months, she has constant pain. Constant pain.
Oh, yeah.
And the doctor is constantly telling her, it'll be gone in a day or two. It'll be gone soon. And she is in miserable pain. And she is becoming anemic. You can see she gets so pale.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a scene where, a famous scene, where she actually eats some raw liver.
Yeah, and she actually
cutting a
eats
turkey
that.
up or a chicken and eats it. Yeah,
actually eats it. But
she was a vegetarian at the time too.
Right, and that's a thing that they, some pregnant women will crave certain things. It's
I think her because she was just anemic. She wasn't getting any protein.
Right. But there's stories of
sure.
like pregnant women who would like eat like paper. Like just weird, odd things, you know what I mean? It's don't ask me why, but it happens. It's very odd. Very
My wife
weird,
just wanted like buffalo chicken all the time with the first baby. I remember.
No raw
buffalo chicken,
no
nothing
liver.
raw, nothing weird.
Yeah, it's funny.
And
Doctor,
the last one, it was cheeseburgers.
Really?
We must have gone to Five Guys cheeseburgers about 2 times a week. It's just the point where I still don't even like going back.
Oh my god!
cheeseburgers.
But yeah, she they get her this doctor's what's his name again? Saperstein.
And he certainly seems like a great doctor.
And he's played by Ralph Bellamy. And
what's he been in? He's been in stuff too.
Frickin' hell! When I saw the name, I go, that Ralph Bellamy. Keep saying it wrong. The dude was in so many films in the 40s. Mm-hmm. I mean, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. He always worked. He was one of those guys who his IMDb is tremendous. But I know him a lot from his black and white movies in the 40s. Did a lot of roles back in the 40s, and that's where I remember him from.
Okay. You know who he reminds me of? The guy for the... what is that suit company where the guy says, You're gonna like the way you look.
I guarantee it.
I'm telling you, I think that's the same guy.
Is that a local thing though, or
I don't know.
Is that a nationwide?
I don't know if it's nationwide. It's the Men's Warehouse.
I think that might be just this
where
part
you
of
can get a good cut suit.
Yeah.
And the guy that does the commercial looks just like him.
Just
says,
like
you're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it.
it.
I swear to God, I'm watching it. I'm like, it's the Men's Warehouse guy.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's
See, now
funny.
you can't get it out of your head.
Oh. But I do think that's a local thing, or at least this part of the country.
Maybe, I don't know.
But I could be wrong. But anyways, yeah. So he starts treating her, and Miss Castavets comes in, and every single day gives her that drink, which is so disgusting.
And she'll even get to the point at some where she'll not even want to take it anymore. She's dumping it out. She's like, "Oh, I'll drink it later."
Well, the scene where she eventually tries to rebel, but not really. She's very weak in this film, and it's pathetic. And that's the one thing I hate, but I still love her and want to. Maybe that's why I love her character in this movie. I want to take care of her, and I want to stop these guys from doing. What they're doing to her.
We were entering a period of strong female characters in films.
Yeah.
Even like the mom in The Exorcist, pretty tough lady.
Yeah.
You would get Alien in 10 years, and then it's gone to the nth degree now.
You would get Alien
because
in
you
10
can't
years.
you can't even make a movie with a guy hero in it anymore. Hell, even a hardcore testosterone fueled movie like Mad Max Fury Road, it pretty much had to be about a tough chick first.
Yeah.
That movie happens whether Max is in it or not. So you can't have strong male characters anymore. They even had to turn Luke Skywalker into a pussy. So.
Don't get me going. But anyways.
But this was the beginning of the end of guys being able to be guys, and
right. No, right. You're right.
The beginning of the end. It took a while, and whatever.
Because whatever he said in this movie, she did. For the most part, until. And
again, this movie caught a little flack because of that. Maybe and maybe that's why she didn't get nominated, because she played such a weak person.
Yeah.
In this film, maybe that's why she didn't get nominated.
And maybe the incorporated scenes that she played, like the rape scene, not that you can't do nudity and win an Oscar. You know what I mean?
Oh, you certainly can.
Yeah, but there were. Yeah, I don't know, because she should.
It's widely considered a huge snub.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
And we've all had that before.
I've snubbed plenty of times. Yeah, I'm sick of it.
I'm just talking like if you follow those kinds of award shows. I don't, because movies I like don't get nominated for awards. Right. Mad Max Fury Road and the Lord of the Rings movies were the only exceptions I can think of.
Yeah.
But I knew Mad Max wasn't going to win. I'd have been, creaming my pants if it had. But
oh boy,
it wasn't Best Picture quality.
No, I know.
Caliber winner.
But she also does. You were mentioning this. She shows up one day when she's starting to, like, the first signs that she's getting sick.
Yeah.
She comes. I've been.
She pulls that off real good.
She comes in the apartment and guy's sitting there and she's got a new haircut.
Oh, God.
Looks just like Twiggy, kind of. She's got that kind of haircut from the '60s. It's Vidal Sassoon. I've been to Vidal Sassoon.
I didn't like it much to begin with, and you can didn't like that new one.
Yeah, you can start seeing the rings around the eyes and the pale, look. Because
she had that look down.
Oh my God, just
perfect for that.
But Guy is just like. That's the worst thing you could possibly do.
I know, just to make her feel good when you're pregnant and feeling, ugly and fat.
Yeah, and she thought she was
looking nice, making herself feel good. You're like, that was the worst thing you could have done to yourself.
Yeah, what the hell? Well, you know what?
In the history of bad ideas, that's the worst.
That's the worst. Yeah, what the hell are you doing, man? But
that's what I like to say to my wife.
Yeah,
that's the worst idea in the history of bad ideas. I think it was from a Jurassic Park movie.
Go clean yourself up, wench.
But she's not looking great. And then Hutch comes over. He hasn't visited. And one other thing I think is, before we mention Hutch, is, it's also nice to mention that when they first have that dinner with the Castavets, she mentions that she's sort of Catholic but kind of estranged from the church, and obviously she must be estranged from her family because she never once tries to call her family, never once tries to include them into her pregnancy or anything. So, and I think the book even alludes to that too, that there's not a very good relationship with her family. So she's totally on her own. She's gone from living at her father's house to living at her husband's house. Yeah. And, she doesn't know what it is to be on her own, to be independent. Yeah. So she's always had someone taking care of her.
Well, they totally pre-screened Rosemary for, Satan to have his way with her. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? I mean, they asked every prevalent
minutia, the plot. They plot everything.
You're talking about cults?
Yeah, I mean, they plan it all out. And
they've been doing it for centuries. I mean, whatever. They know what they're doing.
And even in real life, because there are cults that exist and things like that, and there's dark organizations that do horrible things, and you'd be surprised who's involved in it and things like that. Watch any YouTube clip on Pizzagate or something like that. I mean, there's really dark crap going on.
Yeah, there is.
And that won't get on regular news because,
people will laugh at that.
I mean, even with all the stuff that Roman's done.
Yeah.
And, just to get on that for a second, I guess, when that happened to him, that court case.
Yep. No.
The reason, do you know the reason why he fled the country is because he took a plea deal. He had already been in jail for a couple months, and that was going to be time served, and he was going to have to go to a treatment center. Right. For maybe 90 days or something like that. Mm-hmm. And both attorneys signed off on it. The judge signed off on it. Someone who was close to the judge, who knew Roman's attorney, overheard the judge saying, I'm not going to accept the plea, even though he had already accepted it. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm going to throw the book at him and give him 50 years. Yeah. Which the judge can do, but if he has accepted the plea deal that has been put before him, he's really not supposed to do that. Yeah. So Roman was told that. He freaked. Because running was not even really the best thing for him to do. Right. Because now he can never come back here. Mm-hmm. I mean, Hollywood and all the people think, we should forgive him, bring him back, but they're a bunch of child molesters and rapists anyway. So, of course, bring him on back. But if the majority of Americans, I think, and they've, this comes up whenever the case comes up, you do something like that, you pay the price. You come back to this country, you be charged. Whatever. Heck yeah. You'd be charged for it. But he's where he can't be extradited. He won't come back here. But, obviously that could have been appealed. That would have been appealed. They would have won the appeal, but he would have had to go to jail, while the appeal was in process, probably. Yeah. So he probably shouldn't have fled like he did. Mm-hmm. But, when you're looking at, you're a young man and you're looking at 50 years.
Well, yeah, just to hear that.
You're like, I'm out. I'm not a citizen of this country. I'm out of here. Yeah. And, he made for London, from there to France, and, wherever he lives now, Switzerland or France. I think he mostly lives in France. Yeah. And, he still churns out his films and whatever. But... what was I getting at? Well, it's even kind of funny how this movie deals with cults, and then look what happened to, he was engaged to Sharon Tate during the making of this film, but, just what happened to her with the Manson family being murdered. And now we're coming up on the, 50th anniversary of this, and now, Tarantino's got his movie coming out, which is, I think, going to save Sharon Tate at the end.
Yeah, once upon a time in Hollywood.
Quentin likes to change history a little bit. Yeah. So I think he's going to give Sharon Tate a little break in that movie. Someone's going to save her. Probably Brad Pitt or somebody's going to save her. Give her a little break, yeah. I think. But I haven't seen it, but that's kind of the rumor I heard.
And it's funny how all of that connected, Rosemary's Baby, and then that happening with Sharon Tate and stuff, and the cults and satanic,
right, and the things that Manson would do, give them all LSD and pretend, reenact the crucifixion and all that.
All parts of Rosemary's Baby.
Mind control and getting people under control, and and just how she is just completely dominated by all the people around her. Yep. And then we were getting to Hutch. Hutch finally comes in to pay her a visit. Yeah. And says, "My God, you look like shit."
Yeah,
what is going on?
Everybody does, and
she starts to confide in him a little, and talking about the Castevets and
doctor says it's normal for me to lose weight. Right. At the beginning, I'll slowly gain it. Down the road. the pain will. He says the pain will go away because she starts having this pain in her stomach and it just won't go away. And
some pain at first is normal, but not for what ends up going on for 8 months or whatever.
Yeah, months and months. Yeah.
Because it lasts almost to the very end. And and it's even worth noting that in the beginning of the film, when they're going to take the apartment, they're having, I think, a meal with Hutch, and he's talking about how there used to be a family that lived there that ate children. I mean, that building had a
bad
history of
witchcraft type stuff
and things like that there. And he goes off and starts doing some research on the Castivets.
All the way in...
And Saperstein and all this.
Yeah, all the way back in 1865, I think, something like that, which she eventually sees a book later on about that.
Right.
About Saperstein and having a different name at the time, Stephen Marcato, I think.
Or Roman, Roman Castevet having a different name.
Yeah.
Well, actually, how this came about is he calls her, I think, the next day or later that day, and says, after he sees her, because something's just, it's bothering him when she, she's talking about the people and everything.
Well, right before... it was Ruth or was it Roman? It was Roman who comes in
and they meet.
Yeah, they introduce, and you see Hutch, Rosemary, and Roman, and Roman's just staring at Hutch the whole time. So when he leaves, he takes something with him, and it's one of Hutch's gloves.
And you don't realize that's the reason why the glove is taken until later on,
right?
When she starts learning about how they do what they do.
Yeah.
But Hutch calls her and says, hey, can you meet me at 11 at the Time Life building?
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you. And she's going to meet. She tells Guy, because Guy specifically says, where are you meeting him at?
Oh, yeah.
He specifically asks.
Wants to know everything.
And
they're all in cahoots. So
exactly. Yeah. And, we're sitting here watching it.
Yeah.
And we realize why he's asking. And you feel so bad for her. It's like, you just... you don't get it yet. You just don't get it. And it's the thing, the whole audience knows that we have to watch this. And you can't do anything to help her.
And that's what's enthralling, too, on top of it for this movie. I mean, it's a movie. And you're sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for her to either, if this is a first-time watch, waiting for her to either get some strength and get the hell out of there, or continue to be weak. And I mean, it's just, it's just a thing that you constantly sitting on the edge of the seat, just going, what's going to happen next? But yeah.
And when she goes to meet him next morning, finds out, because he doesn't show up.
He doesn't show up. Yeah.
Finds out that he, suffered a debilitating accident. He's in
a coma.
He's in a coma, and you realize, they did that to him. Know, and he's in a coma for several months, I think. He doesn't die right away. His character does die later on.
Right.
And when he does, I guess he wakes up shortly before. And he says, give this to Rosemary. He had something for her.
Right.
He thinks, even though he's been in the coma, he thinks it's the next day. And it was a book called All of Them Witches.
Yeah.
And he's marked a few things. And he tells the lady who...
It's where she learns about the fungus and
the
pendant and all that, too.
Maybe it's an assistant or a housekeeper or something who he tells, because she was there. And he tells her the name is an anagram. Doesn't tell her what that means. And so she's trying the book title at first, mixing the letters around. And then she gets the idea Roman Castivets because of a page that's flagged in the book where it's Stephen Marcata.
Yeah.
And Roman Castivets. And when you mix those, it spells, when you mix the letters of Stephen, Marcata, it's Roman Castivets.
So it's the same.
That's where she realizes family. What's going on.
Yeah.
She's reading the book. Guy comes home, sees her reading the book. She mentions, Hutch gave it to me. He left it to me. He throws it away.
The bastard threw it away.
Even when she's looking for it later, he's like, I threw that in the trash.
Frickin' a-hole. Yeah.
And this is where she's really starting to realize what's going on. She says, I'm not having them step foot in this house anymore. They're not drinking their drinks. Shortly before this, she even tries, like you said, she has her party
Right.
Where, and Minnie's trying to, oh, I'll be a bartender, I'll be there. They have to be involved. And she's like, nope, nobody over 60 allowed at this party.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. Because, the funny thing is soon after, she was introduced to the Castavets, it's funny because she convinced him to have them over.
Yeah.
But then very quickly, like the next day almost,
around.
it was the other way around. She just wanted no more to do with them, It just was funny how that worked out.
That's what guys said at first. Oh, once you let them in here, you're never going to get rid of them.
Yeah. And that's what happened.
It's helpful to note at that party, they have a moment where, she kind of breaks down in the kitchen and all the girls are, she's talking about this pain she's having.
Yeah.
And I'll lead into where we're headed here
Yeah.
when, he throws the book away. And Guy even tries to, muscle his way into the kitchen. She's like, nope, girl talk, get out. And he don't like that. And they're convincing her, when there's pain like this for so long,
it's telling you something.
Something is not right. You can't go to this doctor, because she's like, he's not doing anything. He's like, go to another doctor, get a second opinion.
Yeah.
And so that's what after the party's all over, that's what she's telling Guy. I don't want them. I'm going to get a second opinion. I'm going to listen to my friends and do this. And he's going off. He's like, it's not fair to Saperstein. You're not being fair to him. And he's doing anything he can to change her mind. And then all of a sudden, the pain stops.
Yep.
And she feels the baby move.
And I don't know if that
he won't touch it. Remember, she wants to put his hand up, and he pulls away.
Yeah. Because
won't even touch it.
He knows he ain't going to...
He ain't the daddy of that baby.
Yeah.
And so that changes her mind on things. Because in the next scene, she's drinking the drink and,
and I
getting everything ready.
I almost thought that the pain went away because she stopped drinking the drink. But evidently not, because she continues to drink it after that. I think the coven
had something to do with that. I don't know. It couldn't have been coincidence.
Yeah.
And
nevertheless, the pain stopped.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then,
and the
then
rosy
Hutch
cheeks
dies.
came back.
Yeah, she starts looking much better.
Mm-hmm.
Then Hutch gets the news that Hutch passed away. She gets the book. All right, and now she realizes what's going on all this time, and now, definitely, Castavets, we're done with them. They're not having anything to do with this.
Yep.
Still not really realizing that Guy's got anything to do with it, although she's starting to suspect him.
Yeah.
Like she wants to see his shoulder. She's like, because he's got to be marked somewhere. Yeah. He's not. But, then she really starts breaking down, trying to escape, She's got her little suitcase packed for the hospital, but she's...
Tries to head off to the other doctor that she started off with.
Yeah. She goes to Dr. Hill, has to make him a frantic phone call to get him. That's where we see the William Castle cameo.
Yeah, in the phone booth. Yeah,
it's not much. And if you don't know who he is, you wouldn't even know who he is.
And as we're talking, realize if you haven't seen this movie before, that... every scene is just beautiful.
It's important.
The streets, the locations, the sets, everything is just beautiful to watch and flows so beautifully.
What I think makes it really good too is there's several instances of just really long takes.
Oh yeah.
Not like how a lot of movies are today with cut. It must be very boring for actors to have to play a little bit, cut. Do it, a little bit, cut. Because that's kind of how movies are made. Yeah. Long, fluid takes down hallways and things like that. Right. Gives, I would think an actor a little bit more chance to breathe and really feel the character.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Which I think is something that's missing in a lot of films today where, maybe that's just why the older ones are better.
Possibly.
But, that's one thing I notice in it, too, is like just, really long takes without many cuts.
Yeah.
Makes a difference. Sorry, but it does.
No. But she's going to the doctor that
Dr.
she
Hill.
Originally went, Dr. Hill.
And she goes to the bookstore. She's buying these books on witchcraft, takes it all with her. She's painting the story to Dr. Hill, who only saw her one time, by the way. Right. And he's sitting there, he's listening, listening.
Yeah.
And she even says, there are plots against people sometimes, aren't there? And
he's saying, there are evil people out there, right. At times there is. But then she mentions his name,
Saperstein.
Dr. Saperstein, and he goes, oh, really?
Like he didn't want to step on those toes.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, does he know?
Yeah, is he part of it?
I mean, you don't see him later on, so he's not there.
Yeah,
But it doesn't mean he doesn't know.
Right.
That he's involved in something.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe he stepped back from what was going on. But anyways, yeah, he knew.
Maybe he knows that. Because there's people who know about people who do horrible things and they keep their mouths shut, and they're just as guilty and complicit, in my opinion.
Right.
But you think he's going to help her at first.
But no,
that really fades away really quick.
Yeah, he puts her in a room and says, "Rest here a little bit. I'm gonna."
Because he's gonna offer to take her to a hospital. I'll take you to the hospital right now.
But what he ends up doing is calling Dr. Saperstein and Guy, and they both come back, get her, and pretty much force her. And that's when Dr. Hill's back there, and he just closes the door. Yep. And so right
Keeps
there,
himself out of it.
Right there, that he knows something.
And even worse than that, is when they come in. Guy's the husband. He doesn't even march up there and say, come on, we're going. It's Dr. Saperstein who marches up there. You don't even see his face. You just see him from the chest down, and she's like a little kid looking up at him.
Yeah.
It's like the Peanuts.
Face. Yeah.
You don't even see the adult face. And he just says, don't scream, don't make a big deal out of this, or I'll have you put in a mental institution. You're coming with me right now.
Yep.
And, I mean, I think he even knows the jig is up. She knows exactly what's going on. I don't care. You're coming with us. And,
so sad.
They get her back to the apartment, and it's not long after that. They all start coming in the room, and she starts going into labor. Because they're trying to drug her. They're trying to knock her out.
She's laying in the bed when they bring her back, and you see the entire complex or coven, whatever, slowly working their way in every doorway, and they all like bombard her and hold her down and shoot her up with a sedative and stuff like that. And she
even stick a rag in her mouth
to quiet her up, and ends up having the
bringing
baby
on labor.
And the sad part is I forget the name of the lady who's somebody's sitting next to her, giving her pills every night, giving her food, taking her breast milk,
which they say they are throwing away. Oh wait, because we didn't tell them because it's a couple days later. Dr. Saperstein and Guy come in and say, the baby died. There were complications. And
at first she says, "No, that ain't
you
true.
took it. Yeah, you took it." And she even hears a baby crying later on.
Yeah, through the wall.
And
which Guy says, because he says a new couple,
new neighbor, right?
New neighbors are up there, and she goes, "Do they have a baby?" And he said, "Oh yeah.
How'd you know?"
Yeah, I've been hearing it. But
And she's having to pump her milk, and she asks the lady, what do you do with it? She's like, oh, we just throw it away. And she knows it's bullshit. So she even puts her to the test a little bit. She's got like a dirty spoon, and she's going to put it in there. She's like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. She's like, well, you're throwing it away anyhow. Like, well, no point slopping it all up. Yeah, it's just... They're not hiding it very well.
No. Because she
stops taking the pills, hiding them inside the cracks of the bed.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Bricks. The little bricks in the back.
And it's going to get to a point here. It's worth noting that earlier in the film, when they were first looking at the apartment,
there was a big chest of drawers.
I think they call it like a high boy or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was blocking a door. And it's just a closet.
And the one guy who's, I think, complicit in all this, he's the one that mentions it. And he goes, is that blocking the closet? There's probably on purpose because they need that free.
The lady who lived there, so the lady died. She didn't die in the apartment, but she died, old lady. And she moved that there. She blocked it. There's a reason why she blocked it. As they're looking through the apartment at the beginning of the film, she sees like some journal entries or something. And one of them just says, I cannot associate with, And I think what it is she put that there because there's a door in the back of that closet into the Castavet's apartment.
Yeah.
And I think she put that there just, to barricade it a little bit.
She didn't want nobody coming in bothering her.
I mean, not that they were looking at her to be, Satan's mother.
Right.
The devil child's mother.
Yeah.
But she does go in there, sneaks in with a butcher knife, by the way.
Oh, well, yeah. We're right at the end of the movie here. And she grabs a knife, and because she's with it now, because she hasn't been taking those pills, she's been hiding them. And, Yeah, walks in there and slowly makes her way through to the room where they're all sitting, like just
Everyone.
yeah, all the characters
Guy, all those old ladies, Dr. Saperstein.
There's a Japanese guy there taking
Yeah.
pictures. Oh, I take picture. It's like
I was gonna say it's always the Japanese guys taking pictures. The elevator operators always have to be black.
that's what it was in this movie. But yeah, she's
Oh, and I love how there's a cradle back there, and it's black.
yeah.
And it's draped in black. There's a little inverted cross, like a mobile hanging
right.
down.
It's and the baby's crying, and the one lady who Rowan comes up and starts talking to her and telling her, trying to convince her, like
because they're all a little shocked when she comes in there, and
they
have to explain. But they realize the jig is up,
right? And that's when Rowan starts to say, "Hey, hey, you are the mother, and
be a mother to him.
The two other ladies are older, and they're
this is says you don't have to join. It's like you don't have to join us, just be a mother.
Be a mother, take care of the baby, and that's when she goes and sits down for a little bit, but then the baby starts crying and crying, and
the one old biddy's really like has no idea what to do with a child.
I'm dumb.
Do we think just rocking it like a jackhammer is gonna help? Yeah, it works.
Flipping it out of the damn bassinet.
Yeah, really.
But the mother, something inside of her just gets her to stand up and start walking towards the baby because she hears the cry. And Rowan has to tell that other woman, get out of here.
Right, because she doesn't even want her in there. Like, don't, she's gonna hurt him. Even when she finally walks away, when Roman makes her walk away, she's like,
stupid. That was kind of dumb. But anyways, but yeah, she sees the baby and gives it that little bit of smile there.
At first she even said, when she first sees it, what did you do to its eyes? What did you do to it?
Yeah. They said it has his father's eyes.
Oh, and it's even great when they do it earlier in the movie too. When they go, like when it's the new year, like the year one, and they say it again here. It's the year one.
And when they are all in that room and at that ending scene, when she does go over to that, they all start chanting and going, "Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Satan!
Hail the mother of
the mother of the child of Satan!" And
year one, and his name is Adrian.
Adrian.
I name him Adrian.
Adrian, yeah. But the movie ends with her pretty much. The smile comes on.
The lullaby kicks in.
And the lullaby kicks in. And, man, it's just what a beginning, what an ending, man. Yeah. And then everything in between, it's got you on pins and needles and just, feeling sorry. It's a roller coaster of a film. It gives you a lot of emotions. And I think that's what I love about it.
It's the ultimate slow burn type of horror film. Build.
Puts you in the story. It's one of those movies, man.
And it's claustrophobic, even though it's a big apartment. I mean, it's just most of it takes place in the confines of an apartment, and it's just frightening. Because there's people out there that believe crap like that, and
whether you want to believe it or not, I mean, stuff like this happens. I mean. I hate to say it. I mean,
no, that's absolutely true. Or there are people out there that perceive that they can do things like this.
Yep.
And
if you don't believe me, just look at all the stories that have come from. I mean, even the Charles Manson, just one instance of somebody trying to, use the name of, evil for, to get whatever. There's cults out there, stuff like that, and just be wary.
That's right. Don't join any cults.
Yeah.
Rosemary's Baby was followed up by technically a sequel called Whatever Happened to, I think what was it called? Whatever Happened to Rosemary. It was a TV movie.
Yeah.
There's not much. I know what it's about, but I never actually watched it. I know it ends with Rosemary being taken away by a possessed bus. Ultimately, a possessed bus. That you could just throw it out after that.
Yeah, okay.
And there was a remake, like a TV series remake,
Oh yeah.
which I didn't watch, but I'm
with I forget the name
chick from
of
the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah. I did watch it.
I'm sure if they remade it today, it would have a lot to do with terminating of a pregnancy and stuff like that. There would be a lot of that in there, I'm sure. That's how you could modernize it.
It was a different film. But yeah, it was. I mean, come on, it's not the original, and I'm not just hating on a remake. It just the remake was nothing compared to this. If Rosemary's a 10, the remake was like a 2. I mean,
and plus, it was a TV movie. It was like,
yeah.
You know, it wasn't even theatrical.
I mean, I didn't hate it.
I didn't watch it,
but you know, I ain't ever going back to rewatch.
Yeah, who's watching that again?
But you know,
this is the same author, Ira Levin, did write a sequel to it. 30 some years later, called Son of Rosemary. I have it, but I haven't read it.
Sounds like it'd be an interesting read. I haven't read it either.
What it's basically about is, Adrian's full grown. He's about the same age that, say, Jesus was when he came into his own, and Rosemary has been in a coma for a long, long time, and Adrian's become very wealthy. He's like leading like a charitable organization. Basically he's loved the world over. And
isn't that how it goes?
Raised by the Castevets. Yeah. Rosemary comes out of her coma miraculously, so she becomes famous all of a sudden too. Adrian tells her, I renounce Satan. I don't. They've tried to raise me to do this kind of work, but I'm not doing that. Yeah. Ultimately, throughout the whole book, what comes down is whether it's willingly or unwillingly, he does eventually unleash the downfall of man, the Armageddon. Whether he actually, meant to or not.
So he's the Antichrist.
Whether willing or unwilling, yes.
Yeah.
His destiny is still the same. It has to do with a virus being unleashed.
I would love to see a Rosemary's Baby too.
And the devil actually,
the hell,
drags Rosemary to hell. Yeah. But then she wakes up, and none of that actually happened. Yeah. And it's the night that she and Guy decide to have the baby.
Maybe that's why it's never been made.
So is it just a big cop out? Is it all a dream?
Yeah.
Because there's evidently there's like little telltale signs that this is prophetic. It's still going to happen. Yeah. But it, again, ends up being a damn dream. The whole thing. Most of Rosemary's Baby and all of Son of Rosemary is a dream, according to the author.
Okay. Unless it's prophetic.
Possibly. I mean, you have to kind of read that into it. Maybe it is. The book's not.
I would love to see that become a movie.
I can shoot you the book if you want.
I would love to see it become a movie. But anyways, I mean,
I haven't read it. I know it's not rated very high.
Without Mia Farrow, I mean, I don't know if you can. Yeah, maybe it's too far gone. I don't know. But
it's not rated very high, so most people don't really give it a whole lot of credence. But it exists. It's out there.
Yeah.
It's from the same author, but. We all know just because the same author writes something don't mean it's going to be any good.
Right.
So we've seen that a number of times.
Of course.
And
cool, man. Yeah.
There we go. Rosemary's Baby, long time coming.
Yeah, long time coming. Yeah.
We'll have to hit up some of these other satanic movies because most of them have issues.
Let's do a top 10 satanic movies.
Oh yikes!
Yeah.
Satanic movies.
Anyways, so yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, man.
Get off your ass.
Go watch this movie.
It's got a Criterion Collection
Blu-ray. And let us know in the comments below what you thought of this movie.
Yes.
Whether you liked it, you didn't. What you liked most about it. What stood out for you.
You can't say you don't like it. So I mean.
No, yeah, I mean.
Unless you're a complete tool.
Yeah. But yeah, nevertheless, check out links below. We'll have more content coming soon. Right. Check us out next week. We always got something coming every week. So there you go, man. Until next time, right, Ted?
Right.
Late Horror Show out.